All right, AP Statistics, we're starting chapter 4. This is going to feel like a different chapter altogether, okay? Before I even write anything down, let me just say this. The first 3 chapters are about analyzing data, and then we need to spend this one chapter on the concept of how to get data that appropriately represents your target audience. And so for that reason, it's going to be a lot less mathy here and a lot more definition oriented and just kind of having ideas play off each other. Okay, so I'm going to feel like a social studies teacher a little bit for about a chapter. With that in mind, here we go. Here's a simple question that I might want to get data for. Ready? What percent of Americans get high? And look at that, spelled it wrong. Just right out of the bat, that's not even close. So I'm going to put a T right there, and then I swear to God, I'm not right now. Okay, what percent of Americans get high? Now, we can't possibly ask every American, so what we do in statistics is we poll or sample a group of Americans. So I feel like we should put the word sample right here also, because that's a pretty big important word for us in statistics. We poll a group, we sample a group of Americans, and then we call our results a sample, okay, there's the word, maybe I should have looked ahead, that we use to represent the entire population. Man, that's a lot of words right there that are very important to us. I'm going to have definitions for a whole bunch of these things. The population is the entire group of individuals that we're looking to gain information about. Like we're studying all of the high school students, like throughout the whole country maybe. The population isn't every American, it's every American high school student, and we're wondering whether or not they get high. Like that kind of thing. That's the population. But again, we can't possibly ask them all. So what we normally do, depending on how many resources we have, is we go get a sample. Maybe we just want to talk about all Canelan High School students. We take a sample from there. The percentages that we get and the conclusions that we draw can't possibly generalize to all American teenagers because we didn't ask all American teenagers or even a representative group of them. We only ask Canelan High School students. So if your sample is only Canelan High School students, then your population is only Canelan High School students. You see how it becomes very important to get this stuff right. Okay? Because we do that, we're actually estimating every time we use statistics in this way to make decisions. That's the magic of statistics. We don't actually have to know complete results. We estimate using a sample. It's an educated guess. Everything in statistics is an educated guess. We never actually know the truth. But our educated guess when we go through this process is going to be better than anybody else's, and that's why you can get paid money for being a stats person. There are basically 2 types of studies we do in statistics. One is an observational study. There are lots of these, and they help out with a lot of things. An observational study. Now, I think you learned this in like middle school science class. It only observes individuals. It measures variables of interest, but it does not do anything to influence the responses. I'm going to say a phrase that I know you guys know, a control group, and then an experimental group. A control group and an experimental group. In an observational study, those things don't exist. You just take people and you ask them questions, or you measure something and you provide results, a data analysis like we did in chapter 1 through 3. You don't do anything to add any kind of difference to their environment to see how something changed. You just take people and record their responses. Now, an experiment, on the other hand, an experiment deliberately imposes some kind of treatment. And the word treatment is so important here that I'm going to put it in quotes. Some kind of treatment on individuals in order to observe changes in a response variable. Observational study, get your people in your sample and just measure them somehow. Whether they answer a question that you asked or whether you do your own measuring, it's just an observational study. But an experiment, you are definitely imposing some kind of a treatment. The only way to use statistics to prove an explanatory variable causes. This was a big deal for us last chapter. The only way to use statistics to prove something causes something else. Like, that's pretty important in medicine and business. Is with a well-designed experiment followed up using statistical inference which is chapter 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, that's kind of a big deal. But the experiment is the one that allows us to conclude that something is causing something. And if you're somebody who wants to study pharmacy or medicine and figure out that something is actually causing somebody to get better, this is going to be becoming pretty important to you. Go to the second page.